Harmony House, one of the kind of key themes of that is looking at growing up. How has the reality of growing up compared to what you would have expected of it maybe, say, 5 years ago?
Man, I think like, I don't know, like I've made music for a really long time, like since I was 10, and that's like all I've ever done since then. And so knew I would make music, obviously not to this degree. I would have never thought like I'd be in Glasgow. I still don't really know where Glasgow is, but we're here. And like selling out shows and stuff. It's really strange, that aspect of it. But I think I've always known I was gonna make music and just like try to do what I'm doing. So the fact that I am doing it is just really rewarding, and I haven't had to compromise at all in any way. And it's just been like a huge, huge blessing. It's been really overwhelming at times, growing up quickly and with a lot of pressure, but yeah, it's been fun, definitely so.
Do you think what happened over the last few years has made you grow up faster?
Yes, I would definitely say so. Yeah, I mean, I was like, I was always told I was like an old soul, you know? I hit puberty in like 5th grade, so I was like kind of ahead of the curve always. But I've definitely had to grow up a lot. Really not like by choice. It's just happened my whole life like that, so.
It's interesting too that you mentioned the fact that you didn't expect it, to get this level where you're over in Glasgow and you're playing shows to over 1,000 people. That is the interesting thing that has changed from the first album to the second one, is that when you were putting that first one out, you were just putting it out for the love of it, and with the second one, when it rolls around, there's a certain audience and there's expectations that now come with it.
Sure.
How does that change things for you as a creator in the way that you sort of approach it and the way that it sits in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Like, it's something I've never, thankfully, like, had is a lot of context on how things work in the music industry, and that's allowed me to really like create my own version of it. So something that happens for a lot of people is for their second album, there's obviously the pressure, creativity of like creatively approaching it differently. But most people also sign to a label and then they start working with other producers, and other people are brought into what they're doing. And so for me, I didn't really have that at all. And so I had the complete freedom on my second album to do whatever I wanted. And so that's a really good first step. And I took that and just like experimented a little bit further, which has really paid off, I think, because people look at me as a producer rather than like, a TikTok song person. Although like, Can I Call You Tonight, I wouldn't have done what it did without TikTok. I don't think it's put me in that box, which I'm really thankful for, and allows me like from now on to be creative.
I guess, does that sort of tie into the way that you interact with your fans too? Because with what you were doing over lockdown, with the kind of unpacking the songs and going into how you were making them, was that a conscious decision to try and show that side of the process and not be pigeonholed as that one-note TikTok star?
I think so, yeah. Like, I didn't even have TikTok. I still don't have TikTok, and like the songs started doing really well, and songs can really form a life of their own, and you can't control how people perceive what you make after it's out in the world. But I was like nervous about the idea of just having like one song and like it becoming really unpersonal. So I tried to take a viral moment and make it as personal as possible. And so I kind of did that by like my How I Made series on YouTube, and showing people that I can unpack my songs and like prove I know everything about them because no one else touched them, which I found out usually isn't the case for a lot of people. And also found out that usually songs aren't like organically viral. Like I didn't pay for marketing or anything, and that's usually the case. So it was, yeah, just like really strange how everything happened. And I just love making music and playing shows. So like I try to sell tickets on Instagram, and that's like the point, so people can come in person and hear the music.
One of the quotes you've said in the past that I really love about Dayglow is that you want to make, I think the quote's something like, you want to make optimism not feel like ignorance in music.
Sure.
With what we are talking about growing up earlier on too, is growing up a part of that? Could you do that without the sort of growth that you've had over the last couple of years? Was maturing an essential part of being able to do that, I guess?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think so. Like, you know, being like, I don't even know if people who like really know me super well would say I'm kind of pessimistic. Like I look at things really analytically, and so at the end of the day, I look at things optimistically and with hope. But I try not to like let stuff. I try not to be naive, and I think that's really important when it comes to being an artist and making music and like emotionally charging people. You know, like if that's your responsibility, which as a musician it kind of is nowadays, is you're like providing this emotional context. I don't want it to be like fake. You know, I don't want to provide like this like I don't know. What I try to do is like I try to get people to listen to my music and then think about their own life and then like be nice. Like I don't want them to like listen to my music and escape from the world. I kind of talk about my view of the world and then hope for them to go and like, you know,
part their own sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And so like what we used to do at shows, we're not doing it on this tour. Like we would get everybody in the crowd to like look at each other and like meet each other at a show, and just like encouraging that connection was really fun. And like, yeah, just doing that kind of stuff where it's really easy to be like the person on stage and what everybody's focused at. But I want to encourage people to like look around and maybe my music be the soundtrack to that. But yeah.
It's funny that we're talking about, you know, people imparting themselves onto the music and finding their own meaning in it. Because that's sort of what happened for you when you wrote Woman, right? Mm-hmm. Where you write it about a friend and then you impart your own meaning onto it after and realize it actually has a parallel with your life. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that happens all the time. Like, I've changed my writing style a lot, I think, since Harmony House, and I kind of approach songs differently. But for Harmony House and Fuzzy Brain, they were both like I didn't even know what I was writing about. I just like wrote a song, it just happened, and then afterwards I would figure out like what it even meant and applied to my life. So there's a ton of moments like that, yeah.
One of the things you do on this album that I love is you spoke about how, you know, memories can fade together, and to represent that in each song you kind of have a little sonic motif that ties them all together in the same way fading.
Yeah.
At what point do the lyrical ideas and the musical ideas start to align like that for you during the process? At what point do they start to kind of move in parallel and feed off each other?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I think I look at albums kind of like a playlist, like you want to have, or like a show, like there's lower moments and higher moments, and I try to hit an album like high energy, and then it kind of ducks a little bit, and like you kind of see what I'm talking about. And then I guess for Harmony House, it like really like, it's like high energy and then kind of just like turns into like a little beautiful string thing. So I don't know, it's kind of different with every album, but I try to make the whole thing cohesive.
Yeah, thank you very much, man.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you. Yes.